no one's gonna watch this video. That's fine. The whole concept is a little bit nebulous. I want to talk about this because I'm seeing advice and I'm reading things and I'm getting ideas that all kind of tie into this core idea of intentionality. So in this video, let me lay out what that word means to me and how you can get some use out of it. Be present. I think this is a key part of intentionality, this idea of intention, of sitting down to do something and being focused on that. Obviously, there are a lot of interruptions around us. That's really not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about interruptions that happen within your own mind. If you want to learn to do a task intentionally, you really need to be able to catch when your mind is wandering and pull it back. But I think you'll really start to notice if you just try to sit down and focus on a small task. What I'm trying to do here is not to pull you into a state of zen where you are appreciating the beauty of washing a table. I really want you to just practice understanding how much your brain is wandering and just see how long you can do that task focusing purely on what you're doing. So the first part of this is not purposefully distracting yourself. And that means don't have the TV on, don't listen to an audiobook, don't have a conversation with somebody else. But then the second most challenging part is every time your mind drifts to something else, practice catching that and then purposefully bringing your mind back to the task at hand. The biggest reason it took me so long to read a book is as I was reading, my mind would drift and I would suddenly realize I haven't been paying attention to the words on this page. But it's a vicious cycle. Every 5 minutes I get thrown off with some other thought that I have. And I can't really just sit down and do something, and that was frustrating to me. By doing this exercise, you'll start to be able to do things a lot faster and a lot more thoughtfully because your entire mind is focused on it. And when your entire mind is focused on something, you can do a lot of damage. Make decisions. We have this really bad habit of thinking that we can handle it all. If a new opportunity or a new request or a new idea comes up, we'll tend to say, yeah, we can do that. But what we don't like to do is to say no. To say no to someone else, we feel like we're letting them down. To say no to ourselves, we feel like we're incapable. To me, saying no is one of the most intentional actions you can do because it means that you have values stronger than the request coming in. A lot of people say that they want to keep their weekends spent with family. And it's easy to say that until something actually comes up. But the confusion comes from thinking that by saying yes to that, we have not said no. We're actually saying no to our family in that situation, or to whatever it is that you wanted to be intentional about. You're actually making a decision in that moment by saying yes. So a key part of intentionality to me is realizing when someone is trying to force your hand to make you make a decision that is contrary to your values. I'm not necessarily talking about morality or anything like that. It's just things that you have decided are important. By deciding to say yes to something else, you might be saying no to yourself. Consider the why. Look, I love talking about productivity. I love productivity tips and hacks and all that stuff. But productivity by itself is not a virtue. It's not good. It's just being busy. If you never have reflection, then when do you expect to realize that what you're doing is not making you happy? And I don't just mean when you get to a beach at sunset, I mean regularly. You need to regularly evaluate the way you act, the things you spend your time on, and how it's all leading towards the person you want to be. The way I do this is with reviews at a bunch of different levels. So at the very top, I have 5-year goals. When I was 25, looking forward to 30, I made a list of things that I think should be true at 30, things I'd like to know, places I'd like to be. And going through that whole process, I realized a lot of things I was doing in the day-to-day, which seemed really good and valuable, were not actually leading in that direction. So if I didn't take a huge step back, a 5-year step back, and look at where I was going, I don't think I would have ever noticed this until I turned 30 and realized that I don't really want to be here anymore. So by going through that process, it informed the big arc of my life that I wanted to follow. Then I had yearly, monthly, weekly reviews, all of which I'm kind of looking at what I'm doing and then judging it against that larger picture. If I didn't have that, it's so easy to just go off the rails and waste your time on things that don't end up helping you get where you want to be. So that's intentionality to me. And look, it's an aspiration. It's not something that you learn how to do and then you do it and then you're perfect. It's something you try to do and that you make a solid effort and recommit yourself to every once in a while. And that to me is living intentionally.